Hi everybody, happy Monday. I am sorry for being a few minutes late, but I am on here to talk about hydration, electrolytes, and how much to consume, when to consume it, the benefits of consuming electrolytes while you're training, the best way to replace them, and a simple formula that you could take to apply to your training and to just understand and experiment with as you continue to train in the summer, because we're all kind of experiencing summer and hydration, and we're all kind of like going through the motions and everything together. So feel free to ask questions as I go. In real time, I will address them to the best of my ability, and I will also be sharing some of my recommended electrolytes that I use, because I think it's been like night and day for not only myself, but some of my teammates and also my athletes that I coach. So I want everyone to run really strong marathons. It's going to be a really, really great time to capitalize on, hydrating and replenishing our bodies properly, so we're not experiencing things like low sodium hyponatremia and things of that sort. Take this advice as educational advice only. I am not a dietitian and I'm not a doctor. So if you do want to get like an actual sweat rate test, you could go to a lab and get that done. I'm going to provide you with a way that you could do that at home. And also a formula that you could take and you could roll with that. And I do believe there's such a value in experimenting, especially in the summer when you are gonna need a little bit more, because you're gonna be losing more. So a simple formula that and this is not an ad. Thanks to my friends from Precision Hydration. This is actually their fuel, carbohydrate. This is not electrolytes. Yeah, it's pretty dense. But yeah, just to show you the branding, sweat concentration and sweat rate. So like how much salt is in your, basically in your fluid that you're losing, multiplied by the duration that you're out on your feet. So let's say 60 minutes will give you your net loss of sodium. So just to really break it down for you into non-sciencey terms, let's say when you're running and your body is losing salt and water, you might kind of feel a little kind of out of it, and you don't feel like you're at homeostasis like you did at the beginning of the run. You might just feel like you're just depleted. That's probably because you're losing electrolytes. Sodium is a big one, potassium, magnesium, but sodium is a definitely big one. Ways to check for this electrolyte loss are things like checking your skin and seeing if you have white spots, even on your clothing, like sweaty, just salt. That's salt that you're losing. I know this might sound gross, but I was actually joking around with one of the girls I run with yesterday, like checking your skin, just going like this after a run and seeing, does this look sweaty, and not tasting it, but that's one way to kind of do it, is to lick your fingers and be like, oh my God, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on with your body after your runs, and kind of checking this during certain durations and while running in the heat and the humidity. So I know on the East Coast right now, it is humid and you're going to be losing a lot more sweat and a lot more electrolytes probably in that. Even on the West Coast, it's dry heat, and that actually creeps up on you even more, because it's you sometimes don't even realize how much you're losing when you're running, which is, it's something to be cognizant of. So these are things to kind of do a self-check with. If you're cramping, if you're muscle cramping, you know, that's another thing. I'm not saying that that's directly related to electrolyte loss. I think like there's a lot of science that shows that that could be overexerting yourself while you're training, more so than, in a race, more so than you have during your training. And that's like the reason for muscle cramping. But like, again, you know, just something to consider, you know, in addition to, you know, the sweat in your clothes and how sweaty you look afterwards. So there's been many studies done with like cyclists, for example, where they haven't had to take bathroom breaks because they've been offsetting basically their sodium intake with the amount of fluid that they're losing. So basically, if you were to just like drink water, right, and you're not replacing that with electrolytes or like salt or anything, your body's gonna have to like let that go, and your body is not gonna be able to retain it. Whereas if you're replacing your body with like salt capsules, salt sticks, or, you know, scratch, some sort of electrolyte with the water that you're taking in, it's, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Danny, you made me lose my train of thought. So if you're off taking basically like the amount of water, okay, so basically let me just backtrack here and let me get my train of thought back. So if you're taking electrolytes and you're gonna have to go to the bathroom less frequently, let's say if you're a marathon runner, because you're gonna be excreting that sweat, right? And like you're gonna be also intaking it through electrolyte tablets. So your body's gonna be able to like retain that salt. So I don't know if anyone on here has ever experienced what I'm talking about, where, you know, if you've been running and you've been just like drinking water, you have to go to the bathroom more frequently, versus if you are having like, let's say scratch hydration or electrolyte capsules, salt stick capsules, and you're taking that with the appropriate amount of water, you don't really have to go to the bathroom that much because your body's able to, you know, retain that, and you have enough sodium in your body as when you started. That's the idea. That's a good thing. And a good way to, you know, kind of practice that is by like literally practicing this while you're running. Yeah, and you're training. So again, everyone is different in terms of, you know, like how much you could lose. Like on the low end, I mean, you could have like, and I just want to do fact check here. So like, you know, some people could lose like 500 milligrams of salt per liter of water while they're exercising per hour. On the high end, people could lose upward of like 2,000 milligrams per liter of water. Again, it depends on, you know, your body and, you know, how much sweat you're losing. You could also be a salty sweater, and, you know, you could be a not salty sweater. You could lose a lot of water and also like just not sweat a lot. So this is why you have to like experiment while you're training, and practice what you're doing in your training, in your races, and treating your races like your training runs. I take salt stick capsules during my marathons. I take 2 every 20 minutes. It is a lot. I am a salty sweater, and yes, I know that because of the way, not only the way I felt, but also just like literally like knowing how sweaty I get and how salty my skin is after my runs. Yeah, and just like the way I feel, it's like night and day for me. So 250 milligrams, let me double check that. 215 milligrams per salt capsule is in each of these, all right? So I take 2 of those, and every 20 minutes. I try to get 12 ounces of water. I don't always get that much, but I try. That really helps me to just retain like enough sodium and enough electrolytes to like be with it. And to, you know, just stay with it. Do I need more? I don't think I need more, but what works for me might not work for you. I like to also, and this is not an ad, I like to mix Scratch, this hydration sports drink, with water sometimes. I leave like a water bottle sometimes when I'm like running in the park near where I live. Sometimes in my car it gets a little warm, and I'll put some ice in it. But yeah, I'll usually have this in addition to my salt capsules, especially in the summer when it's like really, really hot. So these are two brands I'm a really big fan of. So easy way to replace electrolytes is to take them while you're training around your runs, and also to just replace electrolytes with fruit. You know, I love to, you know, have, I love to have watermelon, blueberries, strawberries, like throughout my day, just to get a natural source of electrolytes versus like just having Scratch, which is, you know, it's great and all, but I'm a really big fan of getting things naturally. And yeah, in the summer also, like when you just need to stay hydrated, fruit is a great way to just kind of stay on top of that. There's nothing like, you know, a nice watermelon or watermelon drink, you know, during the day. And you're just gonna feel better the more consistent you are by taking electrolytes in throughout your training. So yeah. Really quick, Danny just got back from an easy run, and first thing I did was drink some coconut water. I love that. Coconut water is filled with electrolytes and goodness, and you know, even though yeah, I mean, I think the flavor is something to like get used to, but it's good. It's good. Sandy Sundays, yes, Shelby. I do think it's a balance. Yeah, everything is a balance. You know, I think that, you know, everyone's different, and whether you're training in like the heat in San Diego or you're training in the humidity in the Midwest and on the East Coast in New York, it's really good to just experiment, and also, you know, see what, you know, talk to your running friends and like see, you know, what they're doing. I'm not saying to like replicate exactly what they're doing, but it's good to get an idea and bounce ideas off people and to see, like, you know, understand what's working for people, because that might help you kind of get a better idea of like how to experiment. But again, you know, to each its own. So like I said, I take 2 salt stick capsules, 430 milligrams every 20 minutes. Each one has 215 milligrams. With water. I try to have at least 6 ounces. I don't always get that much in, and I really like try to stay on top of my liquid to sodium ratio, but it doesn't always work perfectly. So there is, yeah, that's why you experiment during your training, literally like the way you would mimic doing that in a race. So for me, this looks like keeping 2 of these in a little baggie. I tuck it in my sports bra, and I'll, you know, take 2 out at a time. I probably should practice more with water cups while I'm training. I don't as much. I will use the water fountains, like by Mission Bay Park, or I'll use, like I just said before, a water bottle that also has Scratch in it. You know, because I am a very salty sweater, I am someone that like does need more electrolytes, sodium, potassium, like, you know, you name it, during my runs. It's interesting when you, like, if any of you have not practiced hydrating with any sort of electrolyte, that's okay. Don't freak out. There's a time and a place for everything, and you could always start now. And I'm not just like saying that. I actually personally, to, you know, full disclosure, I really didn't start training with electrolytes until 2022, going into like the way I am now, going into the Chicago Marathon for the first time when I broke 3 hours. Yeah, I would just only rely on natural electrolytes, so like fruit, coconut water. I didn't really I didn't really use salt sticks or scratch, or, you know, I tried Noon a few times in my runs because I just felt like that's not what my body really needed. And I was very wrong. I was very mistaken, because when I did start incorporating it, it was like, whoa, like this is what normal feels like, but what you don't know, you don't know. So yeah, just again, experimenting with, you know, with yourself, understanding the benefits of maintaining a proper electrolyte balance. So like you might have to go to the bathroom or stop at the bathrooms less if you're intaking enough salt to offset what you're losing. Yeah, it's very helpful. If you're only drinking water and not like having any salt to retain that, your body won't hold on to that water and you're gonna have to go to the bathroom. So think about that. Think about hyponatremia, so low sodium. We don't want that. It feels like you almost like want to pass out. It's not fun, and you want to just be careful and train smart. So practice these things in your training. Again, sweat concentration times sweat rate multiplied by the duration you're on your feet gives you your net sweat loss. Yes, there is a calculator I could share. It's from Precision Hydration. Andy Blow, who's like the founder of the company. He's excellent. I've had him on my podcast actually to talk about this, and yeah, I'm gonna actually share that because it's a good one. And they're a really good brand. Again, I don't have Precision Hydration, their electrolytes with me, because I've stuck to these two guys, full disclosure, Scratch and Salt Stick, but I do like their gels, and they're pretty dense. What are my thoughts on adding more salt to your food as a way to get more sodium? Good question, Danny. I would say do it. Why not? You know, experiment with it. I don't think you need to go overboard, but, you know, adding a little Himalayan salt to everything, pasta, you know, chicken, is an easy way to, you know, kind of just make sure you're getting it all in. Again, to each its own. I think that's a good question. I know you're a pretty big cook, so yeah, do what feels right for you. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, like I was saying before, it's really good to experiment with your training. You could really tell if you are losing a lot of sweat without like going to a lab. Again, by seeing, like, if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt and you see like white all over your shirt, that's salt. If you go like this and you want to lick your finger and, you know, it tastes salty, it's a really good way to do it. Or if you just like lick your lips after a run, like that's also a really good way to figure it out. When it's really hot out, remember, like right now, you're going to be losing more. Your body is, you're a human being, we're not robots. So just be aware, like hydrate, but also, you know, like make sure you're getting in like enough, you know, electrolytes, like, you know, whether it's going to be salt capsules or whether it's going to be Scratch, something you put in water and something you don't. We lose a lot of sodium. We also lose, you know, potassium and all the things on here, magnesium, calcium, you know, but like sodium is really like the big one. And you'll feel a lot better, you know, your body will work with you. You know, try it out for yourself. I'm curious to hear like how you guys are feeling around your runs. Feel free to just shoot me a direct message. I will respond as I'm able. You know how I roll, and yeah, and just keep your training fun. It should be fun, it should be doable. I know we're all chasing goals, and whether that is learning to run for the first time and just getting out there for health, I love that. Whether that is going for a Boston qualifier time in a fall marathon, I love that. If you're going for sub 4, sub 3, sub 2:30, you know, first time marathoner, whatever the goals are, if you're running, train smart. That's my whole point. Just train smart. I know that most of us on here, if not all of us, maybe not today, we're not Olympians, but I'm pretty sure all of us, our bigger goal is to run for life, right? And to just improve ourselves and challenge ourselves and just stay healthy mentally and physically for as long as we can, right? We're all running towards something on here. I like to say that versus running away from something, because we're running towards our best selves. And so in order to do that, just stay consistent with your regimen, practice smart training. There's so many great resources. I'm going to share some of mine that I shared on here today. There's many coaches, many runners that all have great advice to share. So just wanted to hop on here and share some of my wisdom and advice and expertise. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a kick butt start to your week. And thank you so much again for joining. Happy Monday. And until next time.